You've variously been described by the media as Sydney's most feared enforcer, a towering gun for hire, the ultimate standover man. How do you feel when you hear those descriptions?
I was just a bloke that would do anything for a friend. If you proved yourself to me, you didn't even have to prove yourself to me. If I thought that me and you were close and you loved me and I loved you, I'd travel the end of the world for you. That's what I think of a brother.
Rodney Goldie Atkinson is a name that strikes fear in the hearts of many within Sydney's criminal underworld. Standing at 6'6" with a body covered in tattoos and with gold teeth that earned him the nickname Goldie, he became one of Australia's most notorious enforcers, known for his savage nature and unwavering dedication to his criminal family, Brothers for Life. The gang, founded in the mid-2000s, quickly became one of the most brutal and powerful Middle Eastern gangs in Australia, redefining gang warfare and instilling terror across Sydney. In this video, we'll talk about Rodney's journey in the criminal underworld, a journey marked by loss, desperation, and a sense of belonging he could never find in his early life. Rodney Atkinson was born in 1981 in Newcastle, New South Wales, to what he described as a pretty normal Australian family. Growing up, he enjoyed an idyllic childhood, surfing on the beaches near his home. However, his life took a drastic turn at the age of 15 when his father tragically fell while abseiling. Rodney and his family were forced to make the heart-wrenching decision to pull the plug on his father's life support after he was left in a vegetative state. The loss of his father left a deep emotional scar, and without the guidance of a father figure, Rodney spiraled into a path of grief, substance abuse, and eventual criminal activity. His descent into crime began with small offences as a teenager, using drugs to numb the emotional pain he was experiencing. Initially, stealing or committing minor crimes sparked feelings of anxiety and adrenaline, but as his involvement in crime deepened, those feelings faded and committing crimes became less difficult. Over time, it became second nature to him, and the lines between right and wrong blurred. Rodney's imposing 6'6" frame and menacing demeanour made him a natural fit for a life in the criminal underworld. His size and aggression led him to associate with hardened criminals, including Michael Ibrahim, a convicted killer, and his brother Sam, a powerful figure in Sydney's bikie world. Rodney found himself drawn to these individuals, who became his surrogate family. Lacking a true familial bond after the loss of his father, he sought out the company of those who lived by their own rules, men who didn't abide by society's laws, but created their own code of conduct. At the age of 17, Rodney was incarcerated for the first time after being caught with a small amount of cannabis. This brief stint in prison was only the beginning of a long and tumultuous criminal career. Upon his release, Rodney found himself working for an escort agency, serving as a doorman and bodyguard for the women involved in the sex trade. His role was to ensure that the women were safe and that clients did not cross boundaries. This job further exposed him to the criminal world and paved the way for deeper entanglement in organised crime. Just quickly, if you're enjoying the video so far and want more stories from the Australian underworld, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Rodney Atkinson's life in crime took a pivotal turn in 2006 when he met Bassem Hamzy, a criminal mastermind serving a life sentence for the murder of a teenager in King's Cross. Rodney, who had spent much of his time in prison in segregation, formed a friendship with Hamzy through letters passed under the door of their cells. Though Rodney never officially met Hamzy face to face during their time in segregation, their correspondence centered around religion, life on the outside, and future plans. Hamzy recognised Rodney's potential as a loyal, violent enforcer and convinced him to join a gang that would soon strike fear into Sydney, the Brothers for Life gang. Raised Christian, Rodney even converted to Islam during his time in prison, seeking inner peace but also inclusion within this predominantly Middle Eastern gang. His size, fearlessness and loyalty made him a perfect fit for the gang's enforcer role, and he soon became one of Hamzy's trusted lieutenants. Rodney's life was transformed as he became an integral figure in a violent criminal enterprise, moving from loneliness to a powerful, albeit dangerous, sense of belonging. The Brothers for Life gang was a notorious, violent criminal organisation focused on drug trafficking, control, and using extreme tactics like shootings, kidnappings, and even murders to maintain power. The gang was led by Bassam Hamzy, who, from his prison cell, directed operations. Rodney's role in the gang was simple yet essential. He was the enforcer. His job was to ensure that operations went according to plan, and if a message needed to be sent, he was the one to deliver it. His task was to carry out the violent acts necessary to maintain the gang's control. Rodney's larger-than-life presence and dedication to his brothers made him a feared figure in the Sydney underworld. However, it was only a matter of time before his violent behaviour and connections to crime would result in significant legal consequences. The police worked relentlessly to dismantle the Brothers for Life gang, focusing on their organised crime activities, particularly the control of drug trafficking and the wave of violence they unleashed across Sydney. In 2006, the establishment of the Middle Eastern Organised Crime Squad allowed law enforcement to concentrate on the gang, whose reach extended well beyond the streets, even into prisons. One of the critical breakthroughs came when police learned that Bassam Hamzy, despite being locked in a maximum security cell at Lithgow Jail, was continuing to orchestrate gang activities through a smuggled mobile phone. The phone had been passed between inmates using dental floss as a method of transmission, moving it across the prison floor.
A smuggled mobile phone being passed from cell to cell using dental floss.
You see this going across the floor. On the video, you can see it's like a mouse running.
Through phone intercepts, police discovered that Hamzy was directing gang members, including Rodney, to carry out violent acts and drug deals. Over a 6-week period in 2008, Hamzy made an average of 460 calls a day. This led to a total of 19,000 calls, many of which were recorded by police. These calls were crucial, as Hamzy did not always use a code, making it easier for law enforcement to track his commands. A key moment in the investigation occurred in June 2008, when Hamzy ordered Rodney to deal with a drug dealer from Adelaide who was on the run. Police were monitoring the situation and listening in as Hamzy from his prison cell gave orders over a speakerphone. During this call, Hamzy instructed Rodney to silence the drug dealer by putting something in his mouth to prevent him from screaming, and even threatened to kill him, saying, "He's lucky I don't put a bullet in his head." Rodney responded, "I've got blood everywhere, mate," suggesting that the situation was escalating. Fearing that a murder was imminent, the police acted quickly and descended on the location. Rodney later claimed he was in Adelaide during the incident, but denied committing any violent acts. He said that although Hamzy was giving violent instructions, including telling Rodney to put a sock in the victim's mouth and cut off his ears, he was simply humouring Hamzy, who was speaking from prison and was unaware of the actual situation. Rodney insisted that he was not hurting the drug dealer and that he was just playing along with Hamzy's orders during the phone conversation. While the recorded conversations were crucial in building a case against Hamzy and other members of the gang, leading to 23 convictions and the dismantling of key aspects of the gang's operations, Rodney's involvement remained ambiguous enough that he was not charged or convicted in relation to those specific phone call incidents. In 2009, however, Rodney was involved in a series of events that further solidified his connection to the criminal underworld. In June 2009, Fadi Ibrahim was shot 5 times in the stomach, but survived. It was suspected that the hit was ordered by convicted drug dealer John Macris, and investigators believed Rodney was hired to murder Macris in retaliation. According to the police, in fact, in those years, Rodney was not only doing the dirty work for Brothers for Life, but also freelancing for others. Fearing a possible reprisal, police raided Rodney's home on September 29, 2009. During the raid, police found a variety of incriminating items, including a .22 caliber pistol in the kitchen cupboard, a .45 caliber pistol in his bedroom, a bulletproof vest, photos of John Macris and his license plate numbers, a New South Wales police badge, a Ruger rifle with a silencer, as well as heroin and steroids. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Rodney denied any plans to kill Macris. He claimed that he was only intending to grab Macris, take his drugs and cash, and not commit murder. When questioned about the items found in his possession, Rodney remained silent, offering a no-comment response.
In relation to the Ruger 22 caliber pistol, can you tell me where you got that from?
No comment.
Is there any reason why you would have a photograph of a person, a gun and an address in a bag?
No comment.
I believe that you are going to use that firearm to go to that address and murder that person. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Rodney was charged with possession of illegal firearms, drugs and other weapons, but the jury found there wasn't enough evidence to convict him of conspiracy to commit murder. However, he was sentenced to 14 years for weapons possession, forcing him to return to prison. After being charged, Rodney was placed in solitary confinement at Silverwater Jail on remand. Rodney's reputation as a feared criminal was largely built by the media and police, who labelled him a contract killer. This reputation was so strong that he was put in segregation to prevent any violent actions. He spent over 3 years in segregation before being transferred to Goulburn's Supermax prison. However, Rodney disputes the notion of being a hitman, suggesting that the rumours were exaggerated by the authorities. He believes his past reputation is all that crap, and claims his time in jail allowed him to reflect on a different path. Despite the harsh conditions he faced in prison, Rodney's time behind bars was marked by personal transformation, physical discipline, and a deepening commitment to his family and faith. In 2012, while in jail, he even married his partner Amanda Swan in an Islamic ceremony conducted by Fahim Lodi, a convicted terrorist. However, the old Goldie was still there. On September 15th, 2012, after a visit, Rodney was placed in the holding cell with Tony Haloon, a former concreter, charged with the brutal murder of 65-year-old Shahnaz Kidwai, a Sydney grandmother, in June 2012. Haloon had allegedly bludgeoned Kidwai to death during a robbery gone wrong, killing her for a mere $3,000. When Rodney overheard Haloon bragging about the crime, his anger erupted. He could not let Haloon's actions go unpunished in his eyes. Atkinson exploded into violence, punching, kicking and stomping Haloon. The attack was so severe that Haloon needed reconstructive surgery afterward, with broken eye sockets and a fractured jaw. The assault was captured on CCTV, which later found its way to YouTube. It only stopped when prison guards intervened after hearing the commotion. Rodney was later charged and pleaded guilty to the assault. However, he explained that Haloon had to pay for killing a defenseless woman over such a small amount of money. He believed Haloon's bragging about the crime in prison was a mistake, and Rodney, in his mind, was delivering justice. In the prison hierarchy, criminals who harm the vulnerable, like children, the elderly, or animals, deserve no respect. Haloon was eventually found guilty of Kidwai's murder in June 2014 and was sentenced to 17 years in prison. On February 25th, 2015, Rodney was released on appeal. After serving 6 years in prison, he faced the immense challenge of adjusting to life on the outside. His time in prison, especially the 3 years spent in solitary confinement, had deeply affected him mentally and emotionally. He admitted that spending 18 years behind bars left him feeling wrecked, and he was terrified of the outside world. Simple experiences, like being in a shopping centre, triggered panic attacks. He struggled to adapt to modern life, even feeling disoriented by things like iPhones, and found himself overwhelmed by the pace of the world around him. A key motivating factor for Rodney's transformation was his daughter, Mia. He was determined to change for her and become a better father. The affection she showed him after his release had a profound impact, and he was committed to not returning to prison. He realised that the lifestyle he once led was not the path he wanted for her. To rebuild his life, Rodney turned to the health and fitness industry. He started running a health food business, Mass Nutrition, and also opened Timeless Laser Clinics, a business focused on cosmetic services like Botox, collagen injections, and hair and tattoo removal. He even tried the tattoo removal on himself, not wanting his daughter to think that tattoos or gold teeth are something to admire. Alongside his business ventures, Rodney, who has a passion for mixed martial arts, tried training to become a professional fighter. He won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu title in Newcastle, but his criminal history, particularly his past involvement with the Brothers 4 Life gang, created significant hurdles. His criminal background led to him being banned by the New South Wales Combat Sports Authority, and he faced challenges with potential opponents pulling out after discovering his past. However, Rodney remained determined to make a career out of MMA, seeing it as an outlet for controlling his anger and aggression, and a way to truly leave his criminal past behind. Despite the setbacks, Rodney continued to pursue his dream of becoming a UFC fighter. He viewed this goal not only as a personal ambition, but as a way to show his daughter that change was possible and that there was a positive future beyond the life he had once known. He was committed to staying out of jail and working hard to build a legitimate future for himself and his family. However, Rodney's attempts at a new life were short-lived. In 2017, Rodney found himself in legal trouble once again. He was arrested as part of a major operation led by the elite gangbusting squad, Strike Force Raptor, which targeted criminal groups with links to Middle Eastern crime figures. The Strike Force Raptor operation, which was part of a larger crackdown on gangs and organised crime, led to the arrest of 46 people on over 100 charges. In the raids, police seized numerous firearms, ammunition, prohibited weapons such as knives and tasers, as well as a significant amount of cash and unregistered reptiles. The operation's primary goal was to disrupt and dismantle known criminal groups, especially those involved in violent crimes and the illegal use of firearms. Rodney was charged with 5 counts of possessing prohibited steroids. During the raid on his property in Canley Vale, police also alleged he was in possession of a firearm, leading to an additional charge for breaching a firearm prohibition order. This was a breach of the terms of his parole, which had been revoked earlier in the year. As a result, Rodney was taken into custody and refused bail. Later, he faced additional charges concerning an assault at Silverwater Prison in January 2018. Police claimed Rodney had attacked a younger inmate so severely that the victim had to be rushed to the hospital for treatment. This further complicated his situation and led to additional legal consequences. Rodney's arrest marked another chapter in his turbulent life, which had seen him in and out of prison since he was 17 years old. Despite his claims of wanting to turn his life around, his arrest in 2017 was a setback in his efforts to leave his criminal past behind. Rodney Goldie Atkinson's journey is one of constant struggle, redemption and setbacks. After spending much of his life behind bars, as of today he's a free man, however, the shadow of his past still looms large. His time in prison, his troubled history, and the ongoing battles with law enforcement continue to haunt him. Rodney is determined to be a better man for his daughter and family, but as his past has shown, who knows what lies ahead. The road to redemption is never easy, and for Goldie, it's still unclear whether he'll fully escape the legacy of his former life. As always, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, take care.